guys, welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Down from the Rafters podcast here on Toned In Entertainment. Joining me on this episode, returning, co-hosted with me is Julie Cutler. How you doing, Julie?
I'm doing very well, Tony. Thank you so much again for having me back. I know we were just saying before we came on the air how much fun we always end up having with all these interviews that we do. So I'm really excited, especially because we have a very special guest with us today, if I may. Hailing from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing in at 300 pounds, he is the big bad kaiju, O'Shea Edwards. The crowd goes wild.
You never get tired of hearing it. You never get tired of hearing it. You really don't.
No.
Does that make you want to fight somebody right now, O'Shea?
Not today, because I'm kind of tired today. But like any other day, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to fight somebody.
Okay.
We are super excited to have you, O'Shea. I was going to say I've had the pleasure of working with you in the past up in Concord, New Hampshire this past year. And I know you got over with me very quickly because I was like, oh, this guy is fun. And so we're really excited to chat with you today. I know you've been doing a lot of big things these past several months, including a European tour, which we actually very recently interviewed Jarrett Diaz about, because I know that the two of you had been traveling together. And so I'd love to hear more about that from your perspective, because from Jarrett's perspective, it sounded like you guys kind of learned a lot of things overseas that maybe are things that you can't necessarily learn here in the States. So how did that whole experience come to be, and what did you do while you were there? What did you feel like you got out of that experience?
Well, the first time I met Jared was actually 2 years ago. We both got accepted, and we both went over to Germany together. I didn't even know him. I met him when I got there, and we just linked up really quick, and we became fast friends. It's been 2 years, because it feels like I've kind of known him like a lot longer than that. In that span of time, we pretty much took like the second half of March, and like the whole thing of like betting on yourself, man, it really wasn't so much a bet. We really had to just invest in ourselves. We knew what we was going to get out of it, but I don't want to call it a gamble, because a gamble means you could lose everything. I don't feel like we lost everything. If anything, we gained so much from this trip, just because taking what you know and then applying it to somebody else, to a whole different audience, really means something, especially when you can nail it. A lot of times, most people never really want to leave like their little bubble, because they become afraid. Or they get like real, I don't want to say like content, but just real, they get comfortable. And it's okay. Like, that's cool. Like, I get it. But for me, like, I realized that, in my career, and pretty much even in my personal life, like, I get really comfortable within the realm of the uncomfortable, which means the minute I start getting comfortable, I got to grip it and rip it. I got to find something else to do to kind of put me at ease of like, ooh, I don't know if I like this real quick. Wrestling in Europe, for all of us, like, did that for us, to like, okay, cool, your character, your everything you do gets over here in the States really well. Now let's see if we can get over somewhere else where nobody knows you. And that was the biggest thing, was there was four of us, and nobody knew us. But we spent 10 days out there, and then at the end of it, everybody knew us. They want us to come back. We're making plans on coming back. Just to do it all over again. Like, working in Europe is fun. It's a real chance for you to really kind of like, I tell people all the time, like, there's always, more than one way to get to where you're going. But for this one, like, this journey's mine. And so I'm enjoying where this is going. I'm enjoying getting a chance to travel, leave the country rather, and see the world, and really just get a chance like to do wrestling on like as many stages as humanly possible.
Now, I was in Philadelphia, New Jersey area during Mania weekend, and I did see you wrestle at 1CW. You wrestled Ty Awesome that night. I was covering the show that night. But the night before, I actually interviewed Jarrett Diaz at a show that he was at 5 Star Pro Wrestling, and I was asking him, about the tour and what's different about the crowds and stuff. And he mentioned a particular scene here, and I'm going to actually pull it up from your Facebook post here, where he talked about the crowd just going wild. And I'm just going to play the video, let it speak for itself. Let me pull up your Facebook profile right here. And here we go.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So yeah, he was talking about the crowd just chanting for you in the crowd. And
Okay. So there's levels of this that you got to understand. So as much as I loved the fact that like a UK crowd like had a song for me, which blew my mind. How we even got to that song, however, was even weirder. And then on top of that, this isn't the first time a song's been made from like my name before. Like Nashville holds like a super duper like special place in my heart. Like I love Nashville, Tennessee, because the wrestling scene that we were able to cultivate there for a time was just good. Place called Southern Underground Pro. I love those guys, man. Like Kevin Koo, Dom, AJ Gray. I mean, just so many different guys came through there. One called Managers, like all the Kurt Stallion, Brent Ice, and like Marco Stunt. And that's how people found Marco Stunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so many names came through that place, man. And that place was just near and dear to my heart. I right before I left the South to kind of move into to Maryland, I was going on a run, man. A run of my life, just putting out just Southern bangers where guys we were hitting each other like it was hard. And then out of nowhere the Basement East is a bar. That's all it is. It's a bar, brother. Standing room only, and just boot and PBR and flowing. My type of people. That's my jam right there. I'm all in. It's also like a concert hall because on one part they had like a stage. So sometimes after wrestling, hey, who's ready for some rock music? Here we go. It's Nashville. I love that place. But that crowd was awesome. 100 people at best if you were on a good day because it's all the people who could fit, but who cared? Those people sound like 1,000. And they were the first time they actually took the Olay chant and said O'Shea with it. And it blew my mind because I never knew that was a thing. So to hear it again in England was just like, well, a double whammy. So that clip is from Blackpool. That was in Blackpool. That was a 2-day tournament. That was Saturday. Friday, we were in Preston. And Preston's about a good 45 minutes to an hour away. Train ride make a little less, but whatever. So I've already kind of like having the time of my life, just kind of going bananas here. And in this tournament, I've wrestled several times, and now I'm heading to like my the kind of the semifinal. It's against Rossi Rascal. I love that guy, man. He's the best, and this crowd loves him. And so I had to do what I did best, and I had to stomp him out in front of all of his people. And it was the damnedest thing I ever did because when I came out, this place did not like me. And then somewhere down the way, they just turned on them, and they just started liking me a lot more, to the point to where, like, the way the crowd was set up, the crowd on the right hand was like really, really behind Rossi. Like that's his people, that's his crowd. You ain't gonna change your name about it, whatever. And then the other side, however, was my crowd. And they were getting rowdier and rowdier by the minute. And being the complete jackass that I am, I'm playing into it more and more and more because why not? And as we're I'm like, hey, dude, you're going to have to work with me, man. We got to go. The crowd starts off, and it was like, he's big, he's bad, he'll body slam your dad, O'Shea. And it just kind of grew. And I was like, that's the thing about nicknames. Like, you don't get to pick them. You don't get to pick your song either. So I'm like, whatever. Here we go. And as this match is going on, like my side of the building is getting louder, and to the point to where the other side wasn't saying anything. So now you have half this chanting for me, and then another song breaks out saying like, it's really, really, really getting quiet over there. And I am like, what are you guys doing? This is hilarious. Let's keep going. Like I said, the match ends with a big thing. Everybody loves it. So I'm sorry, that was the second show of my tour. The third show, we get out there the following week, and we get out there, and like I said, Russell once again just kind of doing my own thing, and then out of nowhere, the audio really doesn't because it's calling the camera phone, so it really doesn't catch the audio. But that place had 600 in it, I believe, and
Wow.
every single person was just on their feet doing the exact same thing. And it's I'm not a very outwardly emotional person. But for something like this, wrestling in the UK was something on my like day one. This is what I want to accomplish, like type check sheet, and to be able to like cross that off was like huge, with a lot of asterisks and some course to it because I was not expecting a song and all this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, awesome, that works for me. But the thing about it is like working in the UK only proved that like I have something. Like, oh, wow, this works for me. Like, I can do this. And now that this would be the third country I've actually got a chance to wrestle in outside the United States, I'm just like, yo, okay, cool. Let's see how many other countries I can do this in.
Well, you made a really great point in saying that it's very easy to get comfortable where you are. And, if you're performing in front of generally some of the same people on a regular basis, it's like those people get to know you over time. They know what your gimmick is. They know if you're a good guy or a bad guy. They kind of know a little bit of what to expect. But to be able to go overseas and perform in an entirely new environment. I mean, now it's a little bit different because we do have the luxury of social media where maybe there's a chance that, some people would have seen you in passing on social media,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really a test almost kind of to see if like you can communicate your gimmick and are you the good guy or the bad guy? Are you the heel or the baby face to a brand new audience and have them get it? So the fact that you're able to do that is huge. And I wanted to circle back a little bit to some of the other points that you had made earlier in the conversation. I know you mentioned you had spent quite a lot of time performing down in Tennessee. And obviously, I know that you're billed from Atlanta, Georgia. So I wanted to kind of go back a little bit and dig into early in your career, kind of the standard, like what was it that inspired you to be a professional wrestler? And then where did you start and what led your journey up this way?
All right. So you really have your mind blown? Okay.
That's
I'm
what we're
ready.
here for, O'Shea.
Yeah.
I'm
Only
ready.
re-
I'm buckled in.
The only reason why I started wrestling in the first place because I was bored. I was bored. I was so bored. And I knew I could do it. And I just wanted to like, yo, let me see if I can do this. So kind of tell that story. I kind of got to back. Like I come from a family of athletic freaks. I have a cousin who is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. My father played at Temple. He also played for Minnesota. Like I played college. My brother played college. Like horses. Like I come from horses, and that's just on my dad's side. On my mom's side, I come from like Marines and airmen and sailors. So it's just like I tell people, I'm like, yo, I chose the right parents. Like I chose them good.
You chose the right son.
And the one thing about like wrestling is like the people don't know about me is like, man, I lived a million lives before like even getting into wrestling. Only played college for like 2 seasons before I realized this is really what I wanted to do. And then I joined I went to work at Walt Disney World for a year and a half just to say I did it because I know how it goes to look at a resume, and I didn't want to go to school anymore. I needed to make some money. And then literally turn that into going into the fire department at like 20. Even taking that to go live in Saudi Arabia for 18 months as a private contractor. This is before I even take a bump, bro. Like, so, just whatever. Me getting into wrestling, man, that was easy. That was super, super easy. Like, it was like, yeah, this is the problem. Like, I got this. Like, it's no big deal. I came in the game late, and that's okay. Like, I'm kind of thankful for the fact that I came in the game late. Like, granted, could I have been as farther if I started maybe 10 years earlier? Yeah, probably, or probably not. But I know who I was when I was 20. I was an idiot when I was 20. Like, I was really, really stupid. Really, really stupid when I was 20, and I wouldn't trust myself at 20. But like coming in like 30, Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a grown up. I'm a grown up now. I'm an adult. Like, I have a credit card with my name on it. What's up? So getting into wrestling was kind of something at that point in time. That was also trying to figure out, like, okay, where do I go? Unfortunately, like, Google doesn't really tell you how to get into wrestling. And I didn't really have any wrestling friends. Like, I used to be a wrestling fan when I was a kid, and then I started realizing like the product wasn't really like geared to me anymore. So, but I still liked it. So I'm like, well, I don't want to kind of stick in nostalgia. So let me do it. Let me see what's up. This is the one thing, it's whatever. Anybody can criticize about it, but until you go there and do it, man, shut up. So the first school I found was he used to work for WWE. I still think he works for Impact. I don't know. Johnny Swinger. Johnny Swinger was my first trainer, man. I would drive from the south side of Atlanta to Kennesaw, Georgia, which is like the north side of Atlanta, not by like any short distance. It's a ways out there. And it wasn't so much like it was a school. It was just like dropping classes. Yo, so for $20, I get to kind of see if I got this. Yeah, sure, why not? You're talking to the guy once again who played every sport underneath the sun, who got really good at football. Now he runs into burning buildings all day, and you're going to throw him into a ring and kind of like see how he moves. Yeah, he's going to be okay. I think the first day Johnny was like, "Hey man, have you ever like boxed before?" And I was like, "I used to wrestle in high school." He goes, "Yeah, I can tell." He's like, "You know where you're at?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's no big deal." So for 6 months, I kind of just trained with him to kind of get a bearing of what's going on. Did some real small shows out in like Statesboro and Savannah, Georgia, that area. Then I kind of got linked up with some mutual friends with Robert Gibson, and he ran a school. And he took a shine to me, and he was like, "Hey, I'll invite you to come train with me." Once again, like I said, I'm a professional. I was a professional before I even took steps in the ropes, so I kind of knew what the mutual respect was. So I kind of went to Johnny, and I was like, "Hey, I got a chance to work with like Robert Gibson." He goes, "But I know how these things kind of are. I'm not really trying to like rock the boat any bit. Is it cool if I go and train, do whatever?" And Johnny was like, "Go." Go over there immediately. You need to do that, And the way Johnny always told me was like, he gave me like the building blocks to kind of like, hey man, this is what it takes to be a professional wrestler, especially if you're trying to be on TV and this, that, and the other. He goes, Robert's going to fill in the gaps, man. He's going to fill those gaps like so hard. And you can tell them when I wrestle, you can tell like, man, there's that Southern, there's that Memphis, there's that old AWA, type just, hey man, grab a hold and work this thing. Wrestling doesn't have to be hard. Sometimes people make it hard, but like it was those guys who really just kind of like pushed me to kind of like, hey man, if you want to do this, like we will do what you need to do, to get you there. And they did. They never really stepped out of bounds. They never really, anything like that. It was like, hey, you need to do this, talk to this person, to this person. I'll tell you how to do it, but you got to do the work. It's on you. So around that time, it's like 2016. I've been wrestling maybe 2 years, struggling, man, busting, like trying to figure out like who O'Shea Edwards is and how does it fit, and and not to mention at this time too, I'm still working at the fire department. So like I'm doing, yeah, that's what people don't get.
Man, you must be tired.
When people say they tired, I'm like, you have no idea what tired is. Like I still got stories of getting off a shift, driving to Atlanta, do a show, the next day go to Alabama that Friday, do a show, Mississippi, do a show, drive all the way up to Illinois, do a show Sunday afternoon, and drive all the way back through the night so I can be back on shift like on Monday, just exhausted, praying that we get a slow day, praying we have a slow day. But like I said, 2016, Ring of Honor gives out like a little tryout thing. And I didn't realize how big independent wrestling was at the time. Even though I was in it, like I didn't realize how big it was. Like I knew Ring of Honor because
oh shoot, we just lost O'Shea right there.
Uh-oh.
Okay, hold on, he's back. Hold on.
Perfect. That was quick.
Oh boy, here we go.
Ring of Honor was like, wait. We can't let you tell this story. Hold on.
Oh, snap. Oh, my bad.
We have a different owner now.
Oh,
that's right.
That's right. That's why I say Sinclair. That's Sinclair Broadcasting. Pick up easy.
Right.
Take it easy, everybody. Sinclair Broadcasting.
It's all good.
It's a different show, guys. It's a completely different show.
Whole new show. Whole new show.
But Sinclair Broad said but they would come on at like some arbitrary time at night. Like, so I knew on Saturdays at 12:30 a.m. Ring of Honor was coming on, and God damn it, guess what I was doing? I was going to stay until 12:30, and I was because that was what I knew in terms of independent wrestling, and to me, like, I want to work there. Like, I want to do that. Like, I know there's going to be these other smaller shows. I didn't know how many of these other smaller shows. I was like, but I want to be there. Like, to me, that's my level of success. Like, if I can get there, you can't take nothing from me. Like, to me, in my world, in my universe, I made it. You know, I tell people all the time, even the scrubbiest dude on an NFL team is still an NFL player, and you can't take it from him. Hey, man, whatever. It is what it is. You know, game respect the game. So I go out there, and, like, I'm in the room with people, like, at the time, I felt like itty bitty. And Julie, you know me. I'm a big dude.
You are a big guy.
So for me to feel that big is like, I'm in the room with, like, without, like, name dropping people, like, current world champions.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the room with those people, like, on like current world champions. I'm in the room with them, and I'm just like, I don't need to be here at all. But I still remember they split everybody up, and you had like an in-ring, and you had like a promo room. And I wasn't so much confident in my in-ring because I was still new and I was still trying to figure my way out. But man, you put a microphone up on my face though. Yo, stand back because here we come. And that's what really that's what gave me like the confidence. I'm like, okay, cool, I got this. Everything else can get covered up, but you put that microphone, but you can't hide that. You can't hide that. And every time they put the camera on me or microphone on me, I would just nail it. In-ring work, I ain't gonna lie, a little more to be desired. I got better, but still, I remember when it was time to go, they pulled me aside and goes, "Hey man, you had a really great weekend. We really, 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 really like you, but we can't say yes to you just yet." And they was like, "But we're also not saying no." It's like, you just got to get better. They were like, "You need to start wrestling people who are better than you. It's the only way that you are going to be able to to really kind of rise up and see where you're at." And man, for 2 years, like, that's all I did. It was a hustle at that point. Man, I was wrestling anybody who I perceived to be better than me. Like, let's go. If you think you're better than me, let's wrestle. Like, those times, like, this one, like, guys like us, Sup, so Underground Pro kicks in. This is when, like, Action Wrestling down in Georgia kicks in. TWE out in Chattanooga. You had Pro Wrestling Ego, New South out of Alabama, Pro South out of Alabama. So I had this whole Southern Bowl of just like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and just bang, bang, bang. Very rarely did I have like a weekend off because I was so dedicated, because I'm like, I know I can get here. I touched it. Like, I touched the ring. Like, I can keep getting it. At that point in time, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, because I was so busy, like, I didn't train with Johnny as much, and he understood. He was like, "Hey man, I get it." He goes, "You're out on the road actually more than me now." He goes, "I start calling you for bookings." I'm like, please. I was like, "Brother, hold on to that," So, like 2018 happens, and they give another one out, and I kind of have a point to prove. The thing about, like, I hate to say this, I'm sorry. When it comes like independent wrestling, especially, it gets real territorial for no reason at all. It gets territorial.
Right.
Like, it's like high school. Like, really? Like, we are adults. We're still dealing with this. This is stupid. So, Georgia, they like who they like. You're not going to change their mind, and they're going to hold on to them. They're going to hoard them. They're going to do all this other stuff. And if you're not within this framework of what Georgia independent wrestling likes, well, you're just kind of shunned off to the side. Like, who needs you? There'll be another one coming along just like you. But I want to prove that I was going to be one of one. I want to prove that out of everybody in the state, I'm the only one either hungry enough or dumb enough to pull this off. So I went, knowing that I was going to be the only guy up there from Georgia with nobody attached to me. And I say that because you also had like QT Marshall School just opened up, and they brought a lot of people because at the time they had like a little partnership. But in terms of that, like, there was nobody else that was like, "No, man, I'm here for me. Like, I'm not repping anybody else. It's me." And so, like, I still remember just because I spent 2 years just killing it and killing it and killing it, grinding. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of missed meals, a lot of days where I'm like, how did I get home? Just the grace. Um, but just remember like for 2 days, man, just killing it because I had to. Because the way I saw it is like, man, my window was closing. And every time I try to upgrade myself, I always see like, man, my window opportunity is closing rapidly. And it's not on sundial. That thing's on stopwatch. So like I gotta move. But just had a crazy weekend. It was one of the best, one of the most fulfilling weekends I've ever had. And really, it wasn't even so much my promo work this time. It was all the in-ring stuff, and I felt good. I felt like I evolved a little bit. And when it was all said and done, man, he's like, "Hey, we love you. We have a slot in the dojo for you if you want it." He goes, "There's no money right now. Let me be up front with you. There's no money right now." He goes, "But if you do what you're supposed to do that got you here, it won't be for very long." Cool. I sold everything. Like this is the first time where I bought in, and at the time, man, I was a fireman for over 15 years. I was like, you know what, boys, it's time for me to go. I sold my house that I've been at, my very first house. I've been in that thing for about 10 years at the time. Sold it, packed everything up in a U-Haul, man, packed my truck up on my dog, and like, I'm out. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna chase it. Like I deserve it. Like I deserve to go chase this. And I did, man. And that's what brought me into Maryland, man. I don't regret a thing. The day I left was the day that changed my life forever.
I have a Facebook post that you posted, I think, like 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna pull it up here, O'Shea.
Right.
It says, "Until the lion writes from his perspective, every story will always glorify the hunter. I refuse to be a footnote in someone else's tell. This is my story now, and I'm about to be selfish as fuck."
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wrestling's supposed to be about good business, but the problem is I've met more unprofessional sons of bitches than I've ever met professional sons of bitches. So, and I'm trying my best to like, I'm karma's a bitch, man. She'll come back. Karma's a bitch. I get that. So
Yeah.
So I try my best to put my best foot forward. I try to always put like my best self forward because that's what I want in return. Sometimes you don't get that. And I'm like, cool, guess what? It is what it is now. This is what's happening. This stuff's going to go down. If you don't like it, I don't care. Trust me, I don't lose money by sitting at home. None.
Right.
Oh, I get to hang out with my wife and kid all day. Sweet. That's what I kind of want to do anyway. So it's whatever. Also the way like I'm being portrayed. Like, no, man, this is my story now. I've done this, I've done that. I'm tired of quote unquote like making stars. Like, nah, man, like don't bring me in because old boy just needs a good match. Like, no, you give me the best person you got. And if it ain't the best person you got, don't call my phone. I'm not picking up, I'm not here to kind of put over your buddy or wrestle your friend. I'm like, yo, just what because my first part of my mouth is what am I getting out of this?
Right.
What am I getting outside of getting paid? I'm getting paid regardless. What am I getting out of this? Is me wrestling this kid going to get me a level of notoriety I don't have before? Does your product have more views on it? Because like I bring 10,000 with me. So like if you only bringing 5, like homie, what are you doing for me? Oh, nothing. Cool. Once again, I will stay at home. I don't care. Like I don't care. I'll stay at home. It's like I said, it's one of those things where I had to kind of realize, man, no one's looking out for your self best interest except for you.
That's such a good point. I feel like you hit the nail right on the head because in the wrestling business, and I think just in the entertainment business as a whole, and this is something that I've kind of been learning on my journey these past couple of years, being relatively new to the business as well, is there's a lot of good times to be had. There's a lot of great people to be met. But then, at the end of the day, sometimes there's certain people that kind of want to like latch onto you or latch onto your career or take credit where they can. And at the end of the day, it's really up to you to like take that ownership of your career and kind of put a boundary saying like, this is mine. This is what I built. Nobody can take this from me. And something that I just wanted to jump back to really quickly that you mentioned that really resonated with me personally. You talked about how you've lived a number of different lives before you got into wrestling. You were a firefighter for a number of years. You worked at Disney World, which I have more questions about that to come
Yeah,
later.
I think we were saving those for the end, Julie.
Yeah.
I got a couple of
That's usually
questions.
what happens.
Yes.
That's usually what happens.
Something that I thought was really interesting, I know you mentioned starting around age 30, and some people may see that as a disadvantage. I feel like in my experience, starting in my late 20s, in some ways I see it as an advantage, because by that point you've got a little stability, you know who you are as a person. How do you feel like starting, I guess, quote unquote, later? Because in the grand scheme of things, late 20s, 30 isn't really that old. How do you feel like that helped you? Do you feel like there were advantages to having life experience that helped build O'Shea, the character, the performer, that maybe we wouldn't have gotten when you were 20 years old?
First of all, great question. And then let me preface it was, Julie, you're not even hit your prime yet. That's the beauty of it. You haven't hit your prime. I can safely say I am in the middle. Like I hadn't even really peaked yet, but I can see where I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And then when you get there, the level that you stay there is one thing altogether. Like you're still rising. You hadn't even begun to peak. Like I said, you hadn't even reached the fulfillment of what you're supposed to be after. So trust me, like you're right on time. You're right on time. Two, once again, I'm an adult. I can't say that enough, man. I'm an adult, man. Even when I was training, I see some of these younger guys come through and young girls too and everything. And I'm like, yo, y'all just let people talk to you like that? Like, no, man. Like, once again, you're a person. Everybody deserves at least a even if it's a recurrent, like a small amount, a level of mutual respect. It's just, even if I don't get along with you, I can still give you some mutual respect. And sometimes like that just doesn't get reciprocated, which is perfectly fine. It's not to talk to those people ever again, But professional wrestling is you're supposed to be professional about this type of stuff. The one thing that I loved about coming in 30 was like, yeah, I had a host of like life experiences behind me. Like that aged me well more than 30 years old at the time. But to bring them into wrestling, I'm like, it was easy because it was an outlet for me. It was a vent. All the nonsense that you can imagine that all the high trauma that I've seen, like got to go somewhere. You spend 18 months in the middle of the desert, you see go out of bed. That's all got to go somewhere, And this is where it comes out. I can portray a myriad of feelings that most people will never have to, and I hope never have to ever experience at all. But like, this is my way of getting. That's why when a bell rings, I'm just like, "What's up?" People go, "Man, Shay's a sweetheart." I'm like, "Yeah, why?" Because I know as soon as that bell rings, all the bullshit that I've ever had to like hold and compartmentalize and just kind of like for myself, for 8-10 minutes, boom, I can just direct it all right here. And honestly, man, through that sadness and through that tragedy and through all that stuff, man, I ain't gonna lie. To me, I create art. And that's what makes it so much more fun, because I'm like, today I'm going to paint again. And I have no idea what this picture is going to be, but I know when I'm done, it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to show everybody. I am nowhere near done. There was a time where I was like, man, I got like 2 more years left. I'm nowhere near done. I'm having so much fun and I have so much more gas in the tank. And I'm being a little selfish. I want one more run on TV. I've done it twice and I'm like, I got one more in me. I want to do it one more. But I believe that like coming in late in my 30s, man, was nothing more but was a benefit to me. In 10 years, I can look back in my career and go, I've done all of this in 10 years. And realizing that it takes some people double that just to get that far. But the cool thing is you can't take it from me. It's like, oh, well, you were this and this and this in Ring of Honor. But I wasn't in Ring of Honor. Well, you were this and this and this in MLW. But I wasn't in MLW. So, every little accolade I get, man, it's great. I appreciate it, but it's all just a small puzzle to like the bigger picture. And I look around my wall and like, I got to keep building this picture here.
you talked about being an artist and painting a picture. I'm going to bring in some of the clips that I took when I was at the 1CW, the Atlantic All-Star event, where you wrestled Ty Awesome. So let me bring some of the shorts in right now that I created.
He's fun, man. He's a lot of fun.
Oh man, it was a great match. This one is how strong is O'Shea Edwards?
Let's find out.
Stupid strong. Stupid strong. Yeah, this D1 action is what that is. Man, shout out the rest of Power, man. The David Boy Smith, man.
I'm gonna bring in I think one more. It says how will Ty Awesome get rid of this splitting headache right there?
So, yeah, there ain't a Motrin big enough.
Yeah, it was a great match. It was my first time seeing Ty Awesome in action. It was my first time seeing you in action. And man, both of you guys really won me over because I'm a Miami guy. I'm down here in Florida. Yeah. So being up there in Philly and New Jersey that weekend was such a great event.
Yeah, man, that's the second time we've worked together, man. So like we that's why it kind of came off the way it did. We had some real good chemistry. Like he's a fun kid. We talked a bunch afterwards and all that good stuff. And I enjoy being able to like partake that kind of stuff. And just talking to people, like I love the sport of wrestling. I love the art of wrestling. So anytime I get to sit down and talk about it, man, I'll do that all day long. It's the one thing that I feel like, yeah, I really know this.
Matthew Rodriguez is in here, says, "Hey guys," and I didn't shout out Chris Bristow. I know he was at the 1CW event, helped me out with a lot of stuff that night, and I think he's a big O'Shea fan as well too.
Chris is good people, man.
Very good people. Yeah, we had him on the channel right after Mania weekend, man. Awesome dude. Made a lot of stuff happen for me at that event, so much appreciated. O'Shea, I was reading an article. Sorry, Julie.
That's okay.
Okay, I was reading an article about you where you were quoted about how professional wrestling saved your life.
Yeah, man.
Do you mind going into like a little detail about that?
Sure.
Okay,
no problem. Trigger warning, everybody. So get how you feel. So 5 years ago. Sorry, 5 years ago. My first wife passed away. She took her own life. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's I appreciate it. Like that was one of the like darkest times of like my life where the one thing you don't expect ever to happen like happens. And I always kind of like make the joke, because that's how I deal with my own trauma, is like, man, God has a wild sense of humor, because just when I thought I had every like angle covered, man, he finds the right one and just nails you, like just crumbles you. Like you watch a boxing match and that one dude just gets hit and he just drops. Like that was it. Like three things combined like saved my life to where like I was, and I'll be the first one to admit it. There was a lot of times where I was by myself where I really shouldn't have been by myself. Be the first one to admit it. There was a lot of times where I was close. Like I chuckle at it now because I hear the absurdity of it coming from me when I say it. But it was one of those times, man, where I was just like, "Ooh, buddy, like this really hurts." Like it was. You talking to a guy who like tore an ACL, man, and I thought that was the worst thing that could happen. Man, not really. So one, I'll be honest with you, man. Me working at the fire department, like I didn't know it then, but that whole 20-year career, like really just accumulated like to that one day, to where like I could just hit a switch, and just for the day, like I didn't have to be myself, because I can go into like what I call like work mode, where I just bang, and it's whatever. I've done it a million times, it's whatever. You just never think like you got to be the one to do it. The second thing was my dog. Tank, I love that dude, man. He passed away this past December. He had cancer. We had a great run though. I don't want anybody to say sorry. Like we had an awesome run. It was an awesome time. That was my guy. Even when he passed away, I still made fun of him, and it was just hilarious. But that was my dude. I realized that like he needed me. So it was like, hey man, like it's time to strap this thing in. Like it's time to, lock in. Here we go. And then it was wrestling, because once again, wrestling was the outlet for me to like grieve and to be like everything. Insider knowledge here, insider trading knowledge here. If you go back and watch the 3 matches I had with Sledge and Ring of Honor, homie, you're looking at 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days out. Like wrestling at my highest point, dealing with the worst pain in the world. Like there was times I'd kind of find like a dark corner and just let it go. Because it hurt and it sucked that like, man, I got this far and like the one person who I thought was gonna be was like, you're not here. What the shit, man. But those were some real heavy matches. And I'm kind of glad that like they were like during the pandemic where like nobody was in them. Like most people hate them. I loved it because man, you could hear everything that like that you could imagine a man going through. The very first promo I did was 30 days out, and you can catch me breaking. A lot of people don't, but somebody's like, "Hey man, did you almost cried tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, almost." Had to had to steal that thing in there with like, get back in there, whatever. But that was to me that was art, man. With pain comes like great art. Wrestling doesn't owe me anything. It never has. If anything, wrestling will take and take and take and take and take. And then when you think you can't take anymore, hey man, run them pockets. I want a little bit more. Man, but the time you need it, brother, you want to talk about like coming in a pinch. It was the one thing I had. It was the one thing, because wrestling was the one thing that I did for me. I didn't want anybody else's approval. I didn't do this so like other people could like me. I wanted a point to prove to myself that I can do this at like the highest level that I could possibly get to. And at the same time, and that is what delivered me through like a lot of my nonsense.
I think, O'Shea, what you mention about wrestling sort of being your outlet and being your art. I know you have your own personal story, but I can't help but think as you're telling us the story, I feel like I've had so many similar kinds of conversations with other people in the business who, you hear backstories from different people, you hear traumas that people went through. And I think a lot of us, in a way, are almost like bonded to wrestling because, through all of our different experiences that have tried us and made us who we are, this was like our outlet. This was something that allowed us to channel those emotions and those experience into art and into something that is really for us. So to me, the fact that you were able to look at it that way and you were able to use it that way is very strong of you. And it's also like such a blessing in a way that we've all had wrestling to turn to during hard times to be there for us. And I wanted, before I forget, I know we've been talking about a lot of heavy stuff here, and I wanted to highlight, because you've been grinding for so many years, you've been through a lot to get to the place that you're at right now. And I just saw on Facebook, I think it was earlier today, that you had been named one of the 50 Black professional wrestlers. And first of all, congratulations. I saw that you were number 39 on the list, which is, considering how many people they could have chosen, huge accomplishment. And so I wanted to ask a little bit, just considering your journey and considering everything that's gotten to you this point, how did that feel when you saw that? And how did you kind of find out about that in the first place?
I kind of found like everybody else, Twitter blew up. Like that's awesome. Like one of my biggest gripes have been about wrestling was just like, man, the lack of diversity, like on a top tier level, sometimes gets really scarce. And while the independents have a very important job to do, within that same motion, like what you see on TV is what gets seen on TV, and somebody's putting those people in those positions. So anytime I get to see someone like, someone like me on a top billing, like, regardless of wins or losses, but just get the opportunity to like shine. I glow. I love seeing. I ain't gonna lie. I love seeing black people do good things, man. We're pretty dope. We're pretty dope people, So any chance we get to do something cool, man, I'm all about that stuff, man. But this goes a little. If anything, man, I have a daughter, and me and my wife are trying for one more. So for me, I'm just like, I just want my kid to be like, if so blessed to have a son of my own, to be like, hey, like my dad was a dope wrestler. My dad was cool. And then within the realm of, black professional wrestlers, this is where he was. In the realm of the PWR 500, like this is where he was. I've been on that list. I think the BRP 50 since its conception, I've been on every single time. And
Wow.
then for the PWI, I've been there for the past 4 years, aiming for a number 5. This is it's an awesome achievement, but all it does is show me, hey man, like this is great. Like, enjoy the flowers and have your cup of coffee, brother. But like there's more work to be done. You're not finished yet. You gotta keep it going. You gotta keep it moving. But like I appreciate the recognition. I'm humble enough to understand like what I do, it gets watched by a lot of people. And I understand what that means. I also like when people want to come to a show. First of all, we gotta stop calling them shows. I want to call these events. These are events. I take part in events, man.
They really are.
They are. They're events. So I when kids come up to me like during an event, like last week I was in Fairfax and people were like, "Yo, man, I just bought tickets just to see you." It makes me, and I'm trying to be like a hard ass. I'm just like, oh, come on, buddy, what are you doing, man? But stuff like that like goes a long way with me. I don't do compliments very well because I'm always, I'm coachable, so I'm always like, yeah. What I do wrong? I gotta get it better. I gotta get it better. So stuff like that, man. Like getting ranked, getting my name in a magazine and all that good stuff. Like it means a lot. I'm starting to understand when people say like take the picture, but instead of taking the pictures, I just take the posters. I'd rather have those.
That's fair.
We have a viewer question. I want to get to that. Matthew
Sure.
Rodriguez asked, with WWE partnering with indie wrestling companies, my question is, what 3 WWE wrestlers wants O'Shea to face if you have the opportunity?
Nathan Frazier, because we've done it before.
He's very talented.
Yeah, Nathan Frazier, because he's done it before. Austin Theory, because we've done it before. And I'm sure my boys, I got a lot better now. And then for sheer selfish reasons, Oba Feta. Like, yeah, come on, dog. Come on, man. You knew that was coming. You knew I was coming down the street, man. Like, if opportunities, man, like, yeah. Like I said, 2 out of 3 of those guys, I've had the opportunity of work before they made it, to WWE. And I love seeing them grow. I love seeing them, like, just do the best stuff in the world. I'm never the type of like, whatever. I'm like, nah, dude. You know why? Because when it's my turn, I want those same people clapping for me, man. So, I love seeing like friends and other colleagues, man. I love when they do more.
O'Shea, I love the fact that you said events because I cover the Florida scene down here, and I go to Orlando and Tampa and Miami. I literally drive 4 hours to go cover a lot of shows. Went to Philadelphia, covered 4 shows while I was there, including the one that you were on. And man, when I leave, like, man, my adrenaline is pumping, right? Because I feel like I choose great shows to go to. Like, I'm very picky as to like what shows I want to go and cover and spend my time and who I want to interview at these shows and do the highlights and stuff like that. So when I come home, and my wife and I have talked about this many times, we're like, she gets super into the indies as well too. I mean, we're independent wrestling fans, right? More than the TV stuff. I mean, that's just being honest, right? But when we come home from these events, right, we are so wound up. Like, we're up for like 2 hours, 3 hours, because we're like, the shows that we go to are high caliber, right?
Yeah.
So how does O'Shea Edwards, do you have any advice about like when you're finished with one of these events, how do you come back to like maybe normal after a night of kicking somebody's ass? Because it's hard for me, and I don't kick anybody's ass when I'm at these shows.
Here's the thing. I'm also having to drive somewhere. So like usually I have like a good few hours by myself where I could just like, just hit it and whatever. Honestly, man, I just live in that. I live in that right there. Well, and this isn't knocking you or anything. I was like, but why would you ever want to leave that place where you're just buzzing and you're just like, oh man, everything feels great. I try to bask in that as long as possible. Even my wife's like, will you please shut the hell up? Get in this damn car so we can go home. To the point where she's like, hey, what type of match do you have? And I'll tell her, she's like, are you excited about this? I'm like, I'm getting there. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay home. Well, I said, because we're gonna be there all night long. Like your match is gonna be over at 8:30. Why aren't we leaving till 10:30? Like what the hell? So but no, for the most part, man, I like that feeling of just like, oh, like that energy. And so like I try to stay in that as much as humanly possible. Like I said, when these events happen, man, especially when they're like really good and really put on, man, they're like I said, you feel that buzz, and I just like being in that so much. Of like when an entire audience is in on an event, when they're in on a match, they're in on a story or an angle or a program, and they're just like raw, like let's go. Like that stuff is like what I live for, man. I chase that dragon every chance I get.
And I think, O'Shea, you also made a great point saying that there's a difference between calling them shows versus events, because especially on the independent scene, I feel like it really is like an experience from start to finish. And I know, like lately, these past several months, we've been doing a lot more brewery shows, which I feel like is really an experience, because then it's like, they're fun because people like they have their food, their drink. It's a lot of, standing room only. So you can kind of feel people really getting into the energy. They don't feel like they're confined to just their seat. You feel like they're really a part of the experience. And then you have so much interaction with the fans too. And I always tell people when I'm doing ring announcing and I'm just doing like crowd hype stuff, like you never know which of these people, because we work with a lot of people like yourself who you've had multiple runs on TV, and you never know like who's going to pop up on TV next. You never know who you see at an independent show today who's going to, tomorrow they're going to have hundreds of thousands of followers. So I always tell people, I'm like, this is your chance to come meet them, get your pictures, have a conversation. Like be a part of what's going on now, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and like you said, if everybody buys in, you can't go wrong. I take being a babyface in the hill very seriously.
Yeah.
To the point to where now, like, if I'm a heel, you gonna sell merch? No. Like, why? Because I'm a heel. I don't want you to see me. Well, you could make some money. You called me every name underneath the sun. You slung curses upon me and my name. You really think you're gonna spend $20 on a t-shirt? No, you're not. And I want to keep up the ruse for as much as humanly possible. And even if I do sell merch, it's gonna be somebody else is gonna be there, and I'm gonna be very disinterested. I just want the money. I had a girl ask me to sign her shirt, and I was like, no. She's like, why not? Well, is it my shirt? Like, no. Then why would I sign it? And her dad kind of looked like, damn, that's a great point. And I was like, I'm like, yo, dude, would you get Tom Brady to sign a Michael Jordan card? He goes, first of all, that'd be sweet, but you wouldn't have the balls to pull that off. So why do you think you're gonna come over here? I'm like, now, if you want, you could buy this 8x10 for $10. I'll sign that. And she kind of looked at it and goes, I'll do that. And I'm just like, sucker. And like, here you go. Wow.
Just to jump back to the point that you made about Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, I think Michael Jordan would take that personally.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen the Last Dance documentary, he'd take that personally.
I would take it personally too. And so anytime people ask me to do something like that, like I stay in it. And I'm like, yo, man, if you want me to sign this picture of my face in on it, I'm telling you right now, I'm about to draw something really obscene. So I'm gonna give you a chance to back out now, because if I uncap this Sharpie, it's all over. Like I'm scribbling all over this thing, and people want to be a part of the show. So that's what we got to give them, So, the wrestling show is only just a small part of the entire event as a whole. Yeah, we put on a wrestling show that is a part of a bigger event that is happening, And if you make it seem like a big deal, everyone will buy into it being a big deal. And that it really is like, guys, everybody's got to be on the joke. You all got to be on the joke for this to work.
O'Shea, you mentioned earlier about, people coming to see you. And it's interesting because after I do my interviews before the show, I sit in the crowd with everybody else. I take my footage and I listen to what people are talking about and saying. And I do hear legitimately people in the crowd say, well, I only came tonight because person X is on the show. And I only came tonight because, oh, yeah, this person is here tonight. That's why I came. It's got to feel damn good. Like when people say, like, maybe this show wasn't even, or this event, I should say, wasn't even on their radar until O'Shea Edwards was announced for the event.
Because O'Shea Edwards is a star. he's a star. And I tell people time, I was like, hey man, I don't have to be your favorite to be odds-on favorite. Like I don't. And I don't have to be everybody's favorite to be a star. I don't have to be everyone's favorite to be the marquee guy, to do this, to do that, because I don't care. I'm about putting butts in them seats. And ultimately, that's all I care about. No one cares about, oh, I do this on Twitter. Yeah, dude, but you know what, though? When I show up, though, I know for a fact this whole section is getting sold out because I'm showing up today. Can you do that? Can you do that? If you can't do that, you have nothing to talk to me about. You can take that gif of 100,000 views and you shove up your ass. I don't care. Yeah, great. 100,000 people saw it on Twitter. How much money does that make you?
Right.
We're not the same, Chief. So we're just not. This is a business. And ultimately, I'm like, look, if you don't want to put me on your stage, that's fine. You'll put me in your backstage and I'll keep making money. Because this wrestling thing is, I'm not going away for I'm never going to just disappear from wrestling. You're gonna see me somewhere, it's whatever. And there's always money to be made. It's just, guys, we can all eat. We can all, we can all thrive here if we just let go some of the petty, egotistical bullshit and drama that really equals up to nothing, because nobody wins when the family feuds. So just shut up. Come on, boys. Let's make this money. This is business here. Come on.
Now, while we're talking business, you got a very similar question to this before, but I kind of wanted to bring it full circle a little bit. I know you were asked earlier in the interview about 3 people from WWE that you'd like the opportunity to either face for the first time or run it back with. If we're looking at just all of wrestling as a whole, independent wrestling, whichever company you want, I know when we had Jarrett Diaz on the show, he had mentioned that the two of you, although being very good friends, you had not gotten the chance to step toe to toe in the ring together.
Not yet.
Yes,
not yet.
A couple of people that maybe you'd like to put on notice? Is Jarrett one of them?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have to put Jarrett on notice because I've told Jarrett that to his face.
Yeah.
I don't have to put him on notice. He already knows. He knows there's always that short list. But I guess in a realm of, let's say, viable in the world of reality, there's a lot of matches I've never had before. There's a lot of return matches that I really want to do it again. One is against Jake something. I want to do that again. That was when I was really starting to come up, man. And Jake's on a tear right now, and I'm just like, yeah, man, hit me, come on, let's go. And then you kind of see a theme here. I want Hammerstone. We were supposed to do that in Georgia, but we traveled that we kind of missed, 2 ships in the night. I want Josh Alexander. I really want Josh Alexander. I want John Davis again. I want John Davis. I want John Davis one more time, man. Dan Math, I want again.
I could see that being a banger.
Me and Dan's done it before. It's on my YouTube. YouTube.
I will look for it after this interview.
The night before Final Battle, the last Sinclair era pay-per-view, me and Dan closed the show with a no DQ. Just tear the house down.
Wow.
Yeah, that was one of the dumbest things I ever did, and I'd do it again.
I would love to throw out 3 names. I would love to see 3 guys I saw wrestle up in Philadelphia. One, Mr. Grimm. I think you guys would have a fucking banger. Okay, I would love to see it in person. This is a match I'd like to. Yeah. Marcus Mathers and Tony Landa would be, I think, 3 matches, 3 guys that come off the top of my head.
I like those guys. If just for preview, me and Mr. Grimm were going to enjoy March of 2023. So there's that one. So we've circled around a bunch too. So like me and him go around and around quite a bit. So that'd be fun. Matthew's another boy. Like I hung out with him a little bit during Philly, and I'm like, yeah, I want to throw you guys.
He had a crazy match with Effie that I saw that weekend, he wrestled Nick Wayne as well too at the Philly block party, the one that I saw. And it's crazy because I've interviewed Mr. Grimm before as well too, and I've seen him wrestle before. And as a big guy like himself, when people see him wrestle for the first time and flip over ropes and do crazy stuff, you also can like flip off the top rope too, and you have no problem as well as a big guy doing amazing acrobatic stuff. So how did you translate that kind of repertoire into your wrestling strategy?
Man, you got to keep them guessing, buddy.
Yeah,
keep them guessing. I was an offensive lineman in high school and college. So me being quick on my feet was something that you just had to do. You had to be able to move in very short spurts, explosions matter, all that good stuff. So me being able to move, especially as a big guy, was never just an issue. People just see size, like, oh, he can't move anywhere, until he realized, yeah, brother, within 5 yards, yeah, man, your ass is mine. Yeah, like I own you. Because once I put hands on you, I'm not letting go. So it is what it is. It's one thing, like I said, it keeps people off guard. It's one thing that I can do. But the whole adage is just because I can doesn't mean I will. Because 95% I'm going to wrestle, like I'm bigger than you and I'm stronger than you. So I'm not going to do anything stupid. I just rather run you over because, well, that's worked in the past. So I'll just keep doing this.
Now, I was going to say, I'm now trying to run through in my brain, like people that I think you would be well matched to wrestle. I can't remember now the show that we worked together. I think you were part of like a 4-on-4 tag match, if I remember correctly. And
Yes.
you may or may not have worked with him, Rex Lawless.
Yes. I love me some Rex. Yeah.
I'd love to see O'Shea and Rex Lawless one-on-one, because he's also doing a lot of really fun character work in Beyond Wrestling right now.
Yes,
and I think it would just be like two big guys slapping meat, just let's go.
and then that's when you can give them all the acrobatics, because then it's two big guys, no one really expects it, and all of a sudden O'Shea busts out a backflip. You're like, oh, okay. Of course he can do a backflip. Like, of course he can do a backflip. But no, like I like the big man matches, man. They're a lot of fun. That's a wild story that I get to tell. But man, I tell you what, man, you give me a cruiserweight. Oh man, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
I think that's maybe why you and Jarrett. I think that the two of you would have a lot of fun. And actually, when we had him on the last show, we had discussed the match that he had. I think it might have been that same show, or it might have been one of the other times I had worked with him, where he had a match against Brian Balonis from Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Challenge for him, because a lot of the stuff that he might normally use in his repertoire against someone who's maybe like a similar size match, all of that just goes out the window. And so it's a good learning experience to, number one, be in the ring with a veteran that has the years of experience and TV experience. And then it's also just like a test to the wrestler themselves of what else can I pull out of my arsenal.
Yeah.
So I think the two of you would have a lot of fun together.
Oh yeah, and because we've been getting a little closer to one another too. So like a lot of stuff that I do, he knows he can get out of, and all stuff he does, he knows that I can stop it. So it's honestly, man, this reminds me of like the early years of USC, where it's like, my kung fu is better than your kung fu. It's like, all right, well, cool, show me. And that's kind of where it is, like something like this isn't where there's nothing personal. This is more of like, I just want to see if I can kick your ass or not.
Yeah.
Chris Bristow has his list of 3. So you've got a cornucopia of opponents, O'Shea. He wants to see you wrestle Tony Landa, J.S. Hawthorne, and Johnny Cashmere. And he said all would be amazing storytelling matches.
I know. I like Hawthorne. Hawthorne's fun, dude. I saw him walk around a pair of red pumps. I'm like, hey, brother, you are killing those right now. He's like, thank you.
And another question that I like to ask people, and I feel like this is kind of similarly tied in, at this point in your career, is there anything, like any particular promotion or any particular place you want to go, something that's on your bucket list that you can tell us about that you want to accomplish
Okay.
In a certain time frame.
Sure.
in
Before it's all said and done, let's just do that. Before it's all said and done,
Yeah.
I want to work for Progress back in London. I want to work for them. That's when I first started wrestling. They were on that very like short list I made when I was first coming up. Um, then you got places. Man, I've worked so many places. Crap. Uh, AIW out of Chicago. AAW. I'm sorry, AIW. I'm sorry, out of Cleveland. I'm sorry. And then AAW out of Chicago. I would love to do freelance. I really want to get out west, man. I really want to do like West Coast wrestling. I want to do like some Defy, Let's Wrestle, like all those guys. Like I really want to get out west just because like I said, wrestling's different out there, I've done Texas a number of times, but I still want to go back. I do want to do like, New Texas Pro, RWA, like all those guys out there. I want to get back down south. I want to get back into Texas. I kind of want to pop back in Alabama, start doing some of the other places where like they haven't seen me in such a long time. And it's like, let me show you what I've done. Let me show you how good I've gotten in a short amount of time, and let me rock your world real quick.
I was going through your Instagram, and I'm a huge music guy, and somebody had asked you about, oh, what do you usually listen to when you're working out? And the one picture up there was Old Dirty Bastard, Brooklyn Zoo. And as somebody, and I'm being honest, like when I discovered Wu-Tang, it completely changed my life.
It does
that. Like it really changed everything I thought about music altogether. I've seen them live several times. Ghostface Killer is my favorite hip hop artist of all time. So could you give me a little bit about maybe your Wu-Tang influences and maybe some of your favorite stuff from them?
Sure. Well, here's the thing, man. I'm late to the Wu-Tang game. Even though like a lot of my musical tastes are like like New York style hip hop, like a lot of that's where a lot of stuff gets influenced. But because I would travel between New York and Georgia when I was younger, like I would bring Southern music to New York, and then I bring New York music. Those kids just before Spotify, so like I'm really dating myself here. So whatever.
We all had the CDs, O'Shea. It's okay.
You know what I'm saying? We all had to burn CDs when we were kids. Well, I have LimeWire piped on the computer somewhere.
Oh my god, I probably destroyed my family computer.
Oh, I know I did. Crushed it. We all did. Little Papa Roach on that thing. Yeah, buddy. But like I love Brooklyn Zoo from Old Dirty Bastard, man. But like, I'm sorry, but like Cream, like Triumph. But then I started getting everybody's like solo projects. Like, so I love like Jizza and Method Man's like the art of shadow boxing. Method Man's my favorite one. I just think the way he just flowed was always great. But I was a big Jay-Z fan. I'm a much bigger Busta Rhymes fan than people actually know. Like Extinction Level Event, like got me through high school.
Okay. With Janet Jackson on it, he did a track with Janet on that. Yes.
Hits,
see, I know what's going on. Like I spent, I had a CD trader. Okay, like she knew me. She knew it. She had my stuff when I would come in. I had a CD dealer. Like, okay, that's how.
Yeah, I loved it, man. But then, like there's always some like real Southern influences in my music. So like, I love me some T.I., love Outkast.
Yeah,
love that type of guys. You know what I'm saying? Then like a lot of Texas stuff. I think Paul Wall's absolute genius. I think his flow is great. Really got into the West Coast stuff. Like, so I really have a big just a myriad of stuff I'm listening to, really to kind of like offset whatever tone I'm kind of in. Like I go from hip hop to like epic orchestra to like soundtracks to like video game music, just really depending on like how I'm feeling, especially before I wrestle. Like I find that one song that kind of fits exactly what I'm after. I just put on repeat and find a dark corner, and it's like, yo, leave O'Shea alone. Like for the next 20 minutes as I get my mind right. And then it's game time. Music runs my life. I will admit, music, for a guy who can't play a lick, like music pretty much runs my life.
Let me ask you, O'Shea, because like, when my wife and I travel to these shows, it's 3 or 4 hours. So I feel like me and you are probably in the same zone, because I'll hit that Fat Joe radio station. I'll hit the Guns N' Roses radio station. I'll hit the Pearl Jam. Then I'm back to Rihanna. Then I'm back to something. How does your wife, if she's traveling with you, are you constantly like changing genres on her all the time?
Because my Spotify is so mixed, even she goes, "Oh, you like this song?" I'm like, I have like some Morgan Wallen on there, Dave Matthews Band, John Mayer, Just
John,
whatever.
you can't go wrong with John Mayer.
Come on, slow dance in the burning room.
We
Come
love
on.
John.
Come on. You know, but like, so and it's so wild because like me and my wife are like so diverse. Like we come from two separate different childhoods, but like music was the one thing, of course, a lot of things. Music was one thing that we always had in common. So like we can put on this one rap song and me and her can just belt it out. And then all of a sudden some stupid little pop song comes on, we belt it out. Not gonna lie, I can't sing a lick. Would you put me some Justin Timberlake on? You think I was a part of NSYNC? Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. In my car, concert for one. Don't care.
Now I know while we're on kind of like some fun topics, we've been online for a little while. I want to circle back to Disney World because I want to find out when you during your time working at Disney World, which Disney princess were you?
Unfortunately, I didn't fit the criteria for that. I tell people all the time, I was like, if you want your Disney magic ruined, yo, do not talk to me. I will ruin it for you. I know the secrets. Like, I will ruin that place where you do not let me tell you Disney secrets. That was at the time, man. Especially like I'm 19, fresh out of college football. You know, it was following one of the most difficult conversations I've ever had to have with my parents of like, yo, I don't want to go to school anymore. I don't want to play football. Like, by the way, mom, super pissed. Dad was more like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. He's like, right answer. And that was it. It's like, all right, sweet. So I kind of had to figure it out. But it was like kind of like an internship where they kind of paid you. You could have went to school, but I was like, I'm trying to make this money. I literally just flew myself down there. I packed up my whole life in a rucksack and like a brown paper cardboard box and just flew down there and just kind of they gave me an apartment. So I just roughed it, man. It's the best way a 19-year-old can in Orlando. Just kind of roughed it. They wanted me to stay. They was gonna give me a full-time job there and everything, but I was like, I'm gonna get in trouble if I live down here, so I need to get out of here. Yeah, Disney was it was the most fun time in the world. It was the most fun time in the world. Like, yo, I can't be down here. This place is a party, just ready to go off at any point in time.
Well, it's very touristy. The whole area is very touristy. Yeah. It's like I don't want to be sitting on sitting in 2 hours of traffic just to get to and from work.
Yeah, and it was also that was like because you worked down there, you knew like, all right, this is a new crop. Like, all right, he's showing up, and you could just pick people out, and it was whatever. It was a feeding frenzy down there, and not in the way most people would expect.
I want to get to Edwin with a $5 super chat. Edwin, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys don't know, Edwin takes killer pictures at yes, he does. He got a couple of me at River City Wrestling Con 2 weeks ago out there. Edwin, thank you so much for the support. If you have a question, please feel free to ask us, and we'll share it with O'Shea here before we wrap up.
Yo, big shout out to River City, man. That was my first expo I ever did last year, man. That was my very first one. I had so much fun.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I didn't get to go last year, but yeah, I had a table there this year, and it was just a blast. Did you wrestle any matches when you were at the convention last year?
Me and John Davis did 2 tag matches down that way, man. That was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was my first like convention, so like a lot of people I was seeing all like good stuff. A lot of people I got to catch up with from just kind of like traveling and all that good stuff, man. So that was, to me, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're actually in a new venue now. They left Jacksonville. They're in St. Augustine now.
Okay.
And it's at a World Golf Village in St. Augustine. Conditioning now instead of like that venue in Jacksonville, but where the AEW, Jacksonville Jaguars play and stuff like that. They've moved down to St. Augustine. The venue is super nice, and they're having it again next year. So definitely hopefully we'll see you down here next year as well too. Because man, they had some great matches. The Mission Pro Wrestling title was defended down here with Tiffany Nieves and Stunt Marshall, Cha-Cha Charlie. Some really great matches and people from all over the place. So hopefully we'll see O'Shea Edwards down here in Florida next year.
I was going to say O'Shea and Cha-Cha, if you guys haven't mixed that would be kind of a fun match too.
I mean, let's go.
Let's go. The only thing that's missing is a phone call to O'Shea and the check being written. Let's go. Let's go.
The number hasn't changed, guys. The email's still the same.
One other just housekeeping thing that we always like to do before we wrap up. O'Shea, where on social media can the people find you?
So you can find me on Facebook. O'Shea Edwards on Facebook. I will tell you now, I really don't add people like that. So like you can follow me, but if you're looking for a follow back, like, well, may the odds forever be in your favor. Instagram, same thing. O'Shea Edwards at Big Bat Kaiju. Same thing. Please don't follow people like that. Just get your hopes up. Twitter is Big Bad Kaiju on Twitter. I'm more active. I'm more verbal on Twitter than I really on Facebook or Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. Really just it's full of wrestling and weight pictures, gym pictures, guys. Don't know what else to tell you on that one. But if you're looking for merch, you can find me at whatamaneuver.net. Just search O'Shea Edwards. All those shirts come up there. Also, for you wear. .com, search O'Shea Edwards, all that stuff goes down there. The difference between two sites is some sites don't get all the shirts. That way I keep traffic going on both of them. So there are, for What Maneuver, there are some What Maneuver exclusives. And then for You Wear, there are some For You Wear exclusives where, you can't just, I want this shirt. Well, it's not over here. You got to go over there. That's my fun little game to play for myself. But it just kind of keeps people, okay, cool. You want this one, you want this one. It kind of gives me a good metric of what people are buying and all that good stuff. But for me, though, it's a fun way to kind of to support like small business. Lately, I have really been big on supporting small businesses. Like if I can prevent big whoever from getting my money, then I'm going to make sure that big whoever doesn't get my money. Shop mom and pop, man. Shop local. You know what I'm saying? Like we all want to complain about what's going on, but like until you start speaking with your dollars, none of this matters.
Absolutely. Well, Shay, is there anything else that you want to touch on while we have you here that maybe we didn't ask you?
No, nothing you want to ask, but there's one thing I would love to say. Guys, keep wrestling fun. Wrestling is ultimately fun. Wrestling is a very silly thing that we do. And while it is very silly what we do, there's people who take this very, very seriously. And I am one of those people. But I take it seriously because I know how much fun it can be if it's done right. Support independent wrestling, support your independent, promotions. The stars you see on TV, this is where they come from. This is the only form of entertainment. This is the only form of sport to where there is no major pathway to get there. This is what guys are doing. These are what girls are doing. Everybody in between. They're doing these miles. They're doing these shows. They're really putting it out there for just to entertain just whoever they can. If you like them, support them. Your money, your dollar speaks more than just the like, more than just the retweet. It has to be tangible, guys. Yeah, that's my spiel. I'll go on all day about that, but that's my spiel. I'll stop right there.
Cool. And Julie, any cool events you have coming up here in the future?
I have a couple of things. I have a few things that are kind of in the works that I will probably be sharing at a later date. One thing that I can share right now is I have been doing the ring announcing for a new promotion up here, primarily based in Massachusetts. It's called Rebel Spirit Pro Wrestling. And we are actually having a show in just about a month. It is going to be right leading up to my birthday. So this is going to be a big show. This is going to be a big party, big show for me. So go and please, if you haven't already, give Rebel Spirit Pro Wrestling a follow on both Facebook and Instagram. I've, like I said, a couple more things in the works that I'm nailing down some details for that I'll be sharing on my Instagram as well, which is at The Crown Jewels. Crown is with an E at the end. That's just how we roll here.
Perfect. And for us, we just dropped a bunch of interviews this week from River City Wrestling Con, including Stunt Marshall's interview today, which was so much fun. We have Randy Hogan's interview, which is an absolute blast. Yes, Randy Hogan. So much fun. Plus, we still have a few more to drop as well, too. And this weekend, we will be covering CCW Rumble in the Jungle in Doral at a brewery. Yes, because I love being in a brewery. I love having good food, and I love watching professional wrestling. So we got some fun stuff lined up for in-person interviews as well this week. So hold on. We got Chris Bristow says, look at Julie with pinky out. There you go. Always.
Y'all.
Always. Well, O'Shea, thank you so much for your time. It was definitely a really great time and a pleasure to speak with you. It was great seeing you in action up in Jersey almost 3 months ago now. Yeah, I know, right? Time is flying, but thank you for sharing some of your stories and getting real personal, and also having some fun with us as well, too. So we do appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for having me. Like I still find this like weird in a sense that people want to talk to me about wrestling. So like this is a lot of fun. Like I'm humbled the fact that you guys even reached out to me. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. And Julie, again, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. And, when we set up shows, O'Shea, it's me and Julie go back and forth on people. And you were one of the names that we definitely wanted to tag team these interviews with. So we were both very excited and glad we made this happen as well. So thank you again, Julie.
Thank you. And just wanted to reiterate what Tony said. O'Shea, thank you so much. And I hope that we get to work together sometime in person in the future. Until next time, my friend.
Of course. Appreciate both of y'all.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for everybody who tuned in during the live stream, and for those that watch this on demand. And guys, until next time, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.